Hi, this is Gary Corpenning, pastor at Venice Presbyterian Church. I just wanted to share a few words with you, particularly the folks from Venice Presbyterian Church, but also anybody else who wants to listen in. These are strange times that we're facing right now, and it seems like we need to think about that a lot and talk to each other about it. I don't have a planned script right now, so we'll see. I hope I don't ramble off too far. And I don't want to talk a long time. I just wanted to share a few thoughts. The fact is, this is a time like nothing any of us has quite ever been through, and we are in the midst of circumstances that are just really hard to control, and that's very hard on us. And they are circumstances that make things very hard to predict from day to day or moment to moment what the circumstances will be like in the next moment. And that can produce in us a lot of feelings. It can make us angry. And that can cause us to behave in ways we don't want to behave. So let's don't let the anger lead us. It won't lead us anywhere good. But it also produces a lot of fear and anxiety. And fear and anxiety move us. And that's not entirely wrong. It sort of depends on where it moves us, how we respond to it. We want to make sure that the fear and anxiety that we might be feeling, which we can't really help but feel, is not necessarily. As I say, it depends on where it pushes us, what direction it pushes us in. It can push us toward bad things, like trying to make sure that we've collected a year's supply of toilet paper. Let's don't do that to each other. It's not a way to love our neighbor, and there'll be plenty of it there, especially if we share it. So let's don't do that. Let's don't let the fear drive us to be self-focused, but to focus on other things. One of the ways that fear can lead us in a right direction is if it drives us to God. I'm reminded of something Jesus says in his prayer, in a statement over Jerusalem in Matthew and also in Luke. He says, "How often I have longed to gather your children to me, as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings." And the fact is, that's what we're made for. We're made to be under the wings of Jesus. That's our natural right place, and that's where we want to be. And so I want to encourage you to let the fear move you in that way. As you feel the anxieties and the fears, let it move you toward Jesus. Let it move you toward the shelter of his wings, to be there, and then to practice that. You know, ideally, we'd like to be able to do that all the time, in good times and bad, but the fact is that most of us don't do it very much in the good times. And so sometimes the bad times, the hard times, the frightening times can lead us to do the right thing, and that is to flee to God and to find comfort and shelter there. And then, once we're there, to be set free from the fear. And if we feel and experience the presence and goodness of God in our lives, we can experience that fullness, and we can move away from the fear toward love. A sense of peace and love in God, and that's what we're made for. And then from that, we can begin to cope and respond to our own situation and the situation of the people around us. And we can then embody the love and goodness of God. So let me encourage you to do that. One of the things I'm going to try to do for myself, and I'll encourage you to do it too, is to set an alarm on your phone. We're all carrying them around now, and they can remind us. And set an alarm for the top of the hour, or whatever time seems good to you, but something that will repeatedly remind you to spend a couple of moments in prayer. It's good to spend a lot of time in prayer, but in these times, it's sometimes hard to do that, to spend 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 minutes in prayer. But maybe we can spend a couple of minutes at the top of each hour, just reminding ourselves that we are under the shelter of God's wings, and that we want to live there and cope with these situations, this current situation, from that place, from the shelter of God's wings. How it will all work out for us, we don't know. But what we know is that God's power and love are a reality, and that whatever happens will happen in his power and through his love. God will redeem, and God will work. And we want to bring this whole situation before God constantly and seek his help, his resolution, his redemption. So let me encourage you to do that. I'm going to check in with you regularly like this. I also want to point out that we have Amanda Levitt is going to be doing some music and some other devotional stuff for us this evening at 7 live on Facebook. So check that out too. Plan that into your evening. I'll check back with you. I'm praying for you. I hope you're praying for me. I've never pastored in times quite like this. Pray for God's people. Pray for all the people of our community. Love your neighbor. We'll check in again. God bless.